want to take our viewers through some of the surround sound that followed in the that was there in the past 7 to 8 months. Remember, President Trump at one point of time called India a dead economy. What's President Trump saying now? India to buy $500 billion worth of American goods. Now, is India to buy $500 billion worth of American goods, or is that wordplay? Because the compact in 2025, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi went to the United States and there was an agreement between the two, it was to double bilateral trade to $500 billion by 2030. Though we've lost out a year, it's already 2026, and that was a framework that was decided on in 2025. Then Donald Trump earlier, he had said, I don't care what India does. What's he saying now? That both Prime Minister Narendra Modi and I, we get things done. He's talked about though he's always talked about his very close, association and respect for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. What did he say earlier? He said, have very little business with India. What's he saying now? That relationship with India is stronger now than before. He said Indian economy is dead. Clearly, he's not saying that anymore. Or, whether it's Howard Lutnick or Scott Bessent saying that India is fueling the war in Russia by buying Russian oil, or Europe is fueling that war by buying that same refined oil from India. So, Professor Saha, all that surround sound is now history, or do we see it can still come back some way or the other? And that is why India will have to ignore the surround sound and only look at the deal, as Rahul Aluwali and actually all three of you are putting it, the deal is in India's favor.
Yeah, I mean, India has demonstrated under the leadership of Prime Minister a very matured foreign policy position, and as I mentioned, strategic patience despite several provocations at multiple points in time. So once we look at the long-term interest of the country and frame our narrative accordingly, it helps us also steer our own narrative and the way we want to approach foreign policy and response to some of the global events that are unfolding at this point. And this trade deal is connected to our economic growth, it connected to our economic opportunities, and the roadmap that we lies in front of us. So foreign policy and economics getting connected very, very strongly at this point, and the trade deal is the outcome.
So how much of it, Badri Narayan, in your view, is just buy and sell, and how much of this would encourage Atmanirbhar Bharat, manufacture in India, make in India, and when it comes to high-end technology that India quite urgently requires?
Yeah. So I think, Gaurav, I think these are all very, very good points. I just wanted to say a few things. One, I think we should agree and we should appreciate the fact that India is a 4 trillion economy today and will
Yes.
probably reach over the next 5 years at between 8 and 10 trillion economy. And that is something which I think US recognizes and everybody else in the world recognizes. The EU deal took 20 years. Why did it happen suddenly? It's because India's emergence as a stable economic power with a very strong local consumption. So US is looking that is it possible when it goes from 4 trillion to 10 trillion, when my per capita income crosses some magic figure such as $3,000, $5,000, which changes the way a consumer consumes products. You said the blue cheese and cranberries. Indians will start consuming some of these items as we kind of go up the value chain, and US understands that. So I think these are all very good places for us to be in. It also understands that Indian consumers, as they consume more, and it's got a big country, a uniform market, with all the issues with GST, it still makes it one market. Our income tax rates have come down. We are encouraging year-on-year cleanup, and there's a lot more automation going through the entire system. So what I feel is that investors or long-term viewers, economists, capitalists, and people who are looking at India are looking at it in a very, very big way. And therefore, I feel if we get the policies right and the government keeps making changes and improvements, if you're able to attract manufacturing to India, even a portion of it, if you're able to build high-end products, for example, we are investing in things like semiconductors, we're
Yes.
investing in like chip designing, data centers, we are investing in textile upgradation. So all of these, I think, are going to have an impact. And when you set the stage, then you will have companies from the US, from Europe, from Japan come in and invest. And in the long run, we will get the benefit of that. So this is why I think that this trade deal is important. It's come at a very opportune time. President Trump is seeing that India will move from 4 trillion to 10 trillion. It's not a dead economy by any means. Those are all word plays. But today, if he is able to get access to Indian market, both for Venezuelan oil as also his high tech, and if Indian economy keeps growing and the consumption is a strong story, I think there's a win-win for both of us, like what Rahul and Professor has been saying.
You know,
That I
it's
think
very
we
actually
are in a
very
good place.
heartening to hear. And Rahul, we are not letting Russia down and going in for Venezuelan oil, because if we were to rewind pre 2022, we were anyway not buying much Russian oil. We just took best advantage of the situation. Now are we trying to take advantage of the other best situation? Does that impact our relationship with Russia adversely in any way?
I don't think it should, frankly. And I mean, because Russia is not exactly got a lot of friends on the global stage. So, to the extent that we remain relatively friendly to them, they should be fine. If we don't buy Russian oil, does not suddenly turn us into an enemy because it's not in our interest, right? Every country has to look out for its interest. I'll just give a slightly different perspective on manufacturing in India and why
Sure.
people want to invest in manufacturing in India. I think as large as the Indian market is relative to the global market is still very small. I think if we look at our recent manufacturing success, the biggest manufacturing success in India is Apple iPhones, right? We are now making anywhere between 20 to 30% of the world's iPhones, but less than 2% of iPhone global revenue happens from India. So let's be very clear about it. Apple is not making iPhones in India because India has a large market. Apple is making iPhones in India because it wants to sell to the world from India. So we should be very clear that any company will invest in a very big way in India only if it can service the world from India. And because the world market is several orders of magnitude bigger than the Indian market, the OECD countries, EU plus the US, have an approximately $60 trillion market. Our market is $4 trillion, right? So
And that is what we should focus on.
that's
The
what we should
$60
focus on.
trillion market.
Yeah.
And manufacture in India, high-end
For the
technology.
world.
That is why it is so crucial. We have age on our side. Age profile is on our side. Language, technology, science, everything works for us.
Absolutely.
Of course, if we all work together as one country, keeping, as my show says, India first.